Now we will start with the main agenda. Andriy Zhylenko, PortaOne CEO. He will be speaking about the cloud telco.
Thank you. Hi again. I'm Andriy Zhylenko, CEO of PortaOne. I used to be CTO for about 16 years, so I always try to combine the technology and the business in order to create a solution which will allow our customers to do better business. And through the years which I spent with PortaOne, probably the greatest joy was from events like this, when I can not just create some code or do something, but when I can actually see the feedback, when I can see people smiling, people nodding, and people confirming they are actually using what we have created. So the topic of my presentation is how to do a better telco business in 2024 and beyond. And I put cloud telco in the title. However, I'm going to be using it in a more broad sense. So it's not just about using cloud hosted servers. It's about using the approaches, the technologies, the way of thinking, creating this next generation telco services. And the way to do a better business, of course, it's to increase your profits by lowering the costs, getting new customers, and getting new revenue from new sources. And I'll try to make sure my presentation is not just a life coach with some abstract slogans. You can go to Instagram for that. But I'll be connecting this to the real initiatives from PortaOne where we can help you. So for the actual cloud adoption and moving into the cloud, there are multiple, of course, let's first speak about moving into the actual cloud. The most obvious and the most disputed benefit is lowering the total cost of ownership. So many times I've seen this spreadsheet from a customer when they say, well, we took this Dell servers, we calculated the price, we compared the cloud cost, it's about the same. And yes, it is, because there's a joke, there is no cloud, it's just somebody else's computer. Right? So the CPU or whatever, somebody has to buy it from AMD or Intel. Whether it's Dell or Oracle or Amazon, it costs about the same. So there are going to be no real savings if we just compare with pure computing power. I've actually only seen one of his documents which analyzed the cost, which was very honest, which they analyzed the cost of hardware, they analyzed the power consumption, they analyzed network connection, and then they wrote a note saying, well, there is also cost of our people going to the data center, doing the administration, which we cannot really estimate because we don't track it. And that's usually the biggest elephant in the room, which people choose not to see and not to understand, because with the cloud, the greatest advantage comes from saving on this cost of regular maintenance and cost of fixing things. The next obvious benefit is scalability. We have a customer who started with PortaSwitch in cloud, PortaSwitch SaaS, with our basic entry-level system, which was scaled, which was processing 1 million CDRs per month. In less than a year, they grew, and they're now at 10 million CDRs per month threshold. So they grew 10 times within a year. They didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to worry about, do we have to order hardware? What do we do? Do we have enough capacity? No, it's all done automatically for them in the cloud. So you don't worry about scalability. And then the third one, also, it's, as they say, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Often we choose not to think about, again, these unpleasant situations, which are unlikely, but possible. And of course, the greatest benefit of a cloud is if something happens with your physical servers, well, then the options are limited by either how fast your vendor can deliver some replacement, or how fast you can create some workaround using the tools which are available in the data center. This is a bit like in Apollo 13 movie when they're trying to fix the air conditioning using only the things which are on board there. It's tough. With the cloud, there is a ton of additional resources available. If some major disaster with a particular data center, again, the system is prepared and can be rolled up in a different data center, even on a different continent. So that's another thing which contributes to the reliability and the cost of running the service. And the next thing is about automation, because people of my age, maybe a bit younger, we have this image of telecom operations. Well, there's a switch, then there is a billing system, there's a customer management, and they kind of like disconnected. And it's totally okay if somebody puts information in there and then here and then does something else. It doesn't really work these days because even if one can potentially hire enough entry-level people to do manual job of manually entering the data, well, things get screwed up, and they will get screwed up with manual entry. Then your highly skilled engineers will be spending their time to troubleshoot the issues and fix it. So again, the cost of manual entry, it's huge. It's just difficult to track and difficult to calculate. And of course, the next thing, which is also important, because right now the new generation, they expect everything everywhere at once. Like you open your phone, you subscribe, you start using it. If the service isn't activated within 5 minutes, probably they forget about that. They don't want to continue. They will choose another operator, another service, which provides better possibilities. So an option of involving administration from telco into activation and changing service configuration, it's really not going to work, and it's going to put you in the behind the competition. And we're going to spend the whole presentation about this. The great news is that these days the integrations and data synchronization can be created much easier using low-code and no-code tools. So you don't have to hire developers. You don't have to invest in very scarce professional resources. So how we can specifically help? So for cloud migration, there are, in some countries, they can blame that they're not moving to the cloud yet because there's no data center. That's not an excuse in South Africa. We have a data center here. We have multiple customers successfully running in data centers. Everything is ready. We can launch PortaSwitch there for you in a matter of 1 or 2 business days. There is also now a technology which allows to migrate from your on-premise installation into the cloud using dual version. So using gradual migration, that you can move customers in small batches, you can test, you can verify that everything works. In case if a customer had some weird firewall or something else which prevents that particular customer or customer group from using the service, it's very easy to roll back just them and continue with the migration. So it can be done with the minimum risks and minimum inconveniences for your customers. And of course, for the low-code integrations, I'm not going to step on Sergey's story, but he will tell more about how we can help with that. And for the self-reliance, empowering customers to do things, we doing work on creating self-care portals, which should come from PortaOne, but we're also simplifying APIs so your developers can create your own. And speaking about customers and customer expectations, customer empowerment, we want to keep our customers happy. We want them to stay with us, and that means we have to fulfill their expectations. Well, are obvious ones about reliability of the service, because nobody will continue service which drops, although their marketing materials are beautiful. But beyond that, we have customers who want new products and new services, or your sales and marketing team, they want to deploy these new services and products. And what we see a lot of times, customers, they get tired of this very inflexible or limited selection of the pricing plans, which are typically offered by large operators, because that's the best they can do. So there's an opportunity for more agile telcos. So we can do, how we can help in this regard? Well, with this conundrum, well, when your operations say, well, we have existing customers, don't change anything, don't touch anything, we want to keep them happy. At the same time, there's another group of say, well, we have this new potential group of customers, they want new features, they want new products, or we want to sell something else to these existing customers. And this seem to be two totally opposite directions, how to combine them together. Our recommendation, our best practices is with dual version, because we can gradually migrate existing customers with minimum inconveniences. And the advantage of that is that normally you have a system running a certain version, and then you need 6G or something else, which is supported with the new version. So you only will be able to sell that new service after you complete migration, complete update to the new version, to the traditional update. With dual version, you can actually start selling the new service from day one when the system just installed, when it just starts the migration. So you can migrate, you can spend half a year migrating your legacy customers. That's fine, but you already will be selling new services. And for the self-care, there's going to be more talks about this. We realized how important it is, and also realized that it is important to have it custom tailored. That our old approach with one size fits all self-care, it just unfortunately it doesn't work. So we changed this, and now we're creating, there's a self-care portal for cloud PBX customers, there's a mobile app for MVNO customers, and so on. And finally, about this potential competitive advantage of PortaOne customers, it is about the flexible charging and product catalog. You can afford to offer a la carte options. You can afford to have multiple add-on products or different lines of products, because the system will manage them and will track activation and charging automatically. So you don't have to fall back to just having one or two or three products and the customer had to pick, and the first none of them really fits the customer needs. And about the new sources of revenue, so we want to get more money. An obvious way of this would be to upselling something, new services, new products to your existing customer base. You know better what will be required by a particular customer type or customer segment here in your country. Something which is difficult for us, for people with telco experience to do, is to step away and say, look, okay, we don't sell communications, or communications are not important. They are important in a way, but they are now perceived as something fundamental, as a baseline. So it's really difficult to sell a communication package or get business owners to be excited about buying a different communication package. What we see, and we have multiple success cases, when people sell communication as a part of his business productivity suite. So it means a business owner buys a CRM package with call recording, which allows to track all the calls and get some analytics, with, of course, reduced cost of making those calls, with ability to get some call center, which is people running locally and not having to come to the office to minimize costs. So all of that, yes, it's demanded in the market and it can be sold. But it means we have to mentally shift a little bit from embedding our communications into CRM, websites, applications, something else. So it's a baseline. And of course, bundling non-telco services could be an option, because the telecom operators, we have that also advantage of experience with really flexible, sometimes complex rating plans and methods. We did a few projects in the past year, and we had a company who was doing electric vehicle charging calculation, and they came to us and they said, well, we're not sure if you're going to do if you'll be able to do it because it's really complex. And okay, it took us maybe half an hour to understand their terminology because they're using different words, but after that we said, that's easy. We can point it, we can map it onto the things which already have easily, because what we have, the rating engines we have, they are created, they're designed, and they're operated for the last 20 years for something way more complex than you have. So from our side, we will be helping you with ability to create and maintain the flexible rating plans and ability to work with external providers, partners. For embedding communications, well, there's a call control API. There's ability to create those applications. Then there is PortaOne product, which also we're going to have a separate presentation, which has an API for embedding it into web applications or systems for call centers, mobile application, pretty much anywhere. And we do have multiple success cases of people doing this already. And we continue to work to make Porta billing as a charging system for not just telco services, but for anything else that you or your partners may want to sell. And for this, is there a nice, cool service which you can start selling to your customers and increase your profits by 100%? I don't know, because I don't know South African market well enough. What I do know, and what is possible to do, and typically what people do, it's working with partners and finding somebody who already has experience. For instance, PortaOne customers who, instead of fighting Microsoft, they actually went together. They started selling integrated solutions for MS Teams. They experienced significant growth, especially if they were able to do it early enough, and they continue to work there. So there are companies which already have service which customer may need. The question is how we can integrate it and how we can bundle it into your product offering. But from two kind of obvious areas which are near enough, and I understand that many of PortaOne customers in other countries have opportunity to go there, it would be IoT. And there's going to be a separate presentation about how to do IoT in a profitable way. And of course, MVNO and wireless services. And from our side, how we can help with the ideas about what can you do, what kind of new services you can sell or bundle. Again, unfortunately, I or my colleagues were not the best source of knowledge there, because we can only translate what we heard from another PortaOne customer. So we're trying to actually make you getting that information directly from a source. This is why we're doing these events, so you can do networking among you. We will be doing more global events where you can talk with PortaOne customers from other countries. And of course, we are promoting, not very successful so far, I have to admit, online PortaOne customer groups. So we'll make another try, and we'll ask you to please participate, because it could be something where you can gain great ideas which will generate a lot of new business for you without any cost or involvement. And it's easier probably to read a few posts, to post a few things in the group, than having to fly somewhere and go for all the inconveniences. And when you have this idea, well, let's do IoT, let's do something. With every project, there's a lot of uncertainty. You are not sure how things work, you're not sure what to do, and nobody is sure. There's this cone of uncertainty, and the only thing to deal with it, the only thing to lower the risks, is to do project analysis and some preparation and work together. And for that, we do have a team of project managers experienced in specifically those things, so we can work together. That usually is much more efficient than trying to kind of figure out things on your own, and then coming to our support saying, okay, we created this and it doesn't work, and we say, well, yes, it doesn't work because it never was supposed to work this way. And specifically for IoT, I think there is an opportunity also for telcos here and other countries by creating ecosystems or partnerships with new IoT enterprises and allowing them to bring new IoT products to the market. So the rest of our presentations and our work, which we do with PortaOne next year and so on, will be focused on how we can lower the operating expenses for the telcos, how we can create better automation for data synchronization to reduce amount of manual work involved there, and how to create better new product, perhaps in totally new areas for PortaOne customers. Let's have a productive 2024 and beyond. Thank you.